Hello, welcome to On Point, the mindset podcast for dancers, creatives, athletes, and artists. I'm your host, Latte, aka Lottie Dottie. We're here for episode 2. So last week we talked about self-concepts. If you haven't listened to that episode, I would recommend just listening to it before this one. There's going to be some things that we use from last week's exercises or just conversation that help get into this week's episode. So we're going to be expanding on ourself as a creator, creating an alter ego and why this is important for creators, how to use this as a form of manifestation, where our identity, so the new identity that we just created, where it fits into our community, and just wrapping up with a few tips on how to switch hats. This is really an episode for my multifacets. So my people that like to do a lot of projects like myself and wear a bunch of hats, and how we can really develop these different hats and use them to our advantage. So first off, we need to understand that as creative individuals, we are expansive. So we are more than one thing. Just like I'm speaking to my multifacets. A lot of people like to put themselves in a box, or I think it's just safer to be in a box and say, oh, I'm just a teacher. I used to dabble in painting years ago, but that's something I did years ago. I'm just a teacher now. Or, oh, I'm a sales associate. I used to be a singer, but not too much. You try to play it safe or downplay it. Or I get a lot of moms. A lot of my clients are moms, and they're like, oh, I'm a mom now. I put the kids first. But you have passions and you have this creative spark inside of you. And it's important to expand on it and really lean into it, because it's going to make you a more fulfilled and happier person in the end. You need to realize, and this is like a hard truth, that when you do that to yourself, it's limiting and it's actually an excuse. So when you put yourself inside of a box, you don't have to try, and it's scary to try because you might fail. But you need to understand that there's going to be more fulfillment and happiness on the other side. And so we need to cross this hurdle of just realizing that we can even have that kind of life for ourselves. It's hard when you're on the other side and you're starting out and you're like, I can't even imagine like being a singer, being a dancer, being a creator full time, And you need to, I'm going to show you how to cross that hurdle first. So let's get into it. So you need to understand that we are mirrors of our surroundings. And when we have this belief that, oh, we're just one thing, it's probably because we're looking at the world in a very one-sided way and looking at other people like, oh, well, they're just singers, like easy for them, Oh, they're Drake's backup dancers. That's what they were born to do. That's all they do. Oh, that lady owns a dance studio. Like that's all she does. It came easy to her, and that's what she was meant to do. Not me though, Oh, they're NFL dancers. That's their bag. That's what they do. They don't have any other life outside of that. And you need to understand that all of these are assumptions, very much assumptions. In order to combat this, because I think you need to realize that people are multi-dimensional. Is it just dimensional? Multi-dimensions. People have a lot of sides to them, okay? And in order to realize that people aren't just what you see in front of you, you need to start having conversations with people. I think it really opens your eyes to see that people have a lot more going on than, one, what they show, and two, what you assume. And then that opens your eyes to, oh, like they have all this going on. I could do it too. Let me give you an example. So when I was like 20, when I get back into dancing, 25, 26, I was like, I'm too old. I was like, I'm too old to dance. Like, there's no way I will be a professional dancer at this age, ever, period. And I use that as an excuse for a very long time. Like, even like 2 more years after that. I used it as an excuse, really. Until I started talking to people that were professional dancers, and I would come up to LA, I would take classes, and I would be like, hey, how old are you? Like in a non-rude way, of course. You don't want to just ask people what their age is. I don't know. I mean, but why not? Fuck that shit. And I'd be like, hey, like, how old are you? And they would be like, girl, I'm 35. And I'm like, oh, what? Like, I'm 26. I'm 27. Like, you know, and then it would kind of, I would be like, damn, well, what's my excuse? You know what I mean? It kind of made me go inward and introspect. Another example. Once I got back into teaching, I'm very much a teacher, very much a mentor, that kind of like spirit. And I really like doubled down on I'm a teacher. And even up until 2019, I was like, I'm a teacher. 2019, 2020. I was like, I am a teacher. And I really put a lot of my worth on that 2019. And I went to go train with Galen Hooks, who's absolutely amazing. She helps dancers with these kind of breakthroughs. And I showed up, and her program is like 4 days, or the one I did was like 4 days. I did which one was it? It was the immersion. I don't think she does it anymore. I did the 4 days, and it's like 4 hours each day, and it's like over $1,000. It's like a big investment for your training. It's so worth it. And we're all sitting there, and she only takes a few people. And she's like, oh, like, you know, I want to know why each of you are doing this program. And so we go around, and everyone's like, oh, I'm ready to be a backup dancer for Lady Gaga. Like, I'm ready to book. Da, da, da. And I'm like, oh my God, like in my head. But here's the thing. In my head, I was like, oh, I'm going to do this amazing, really expensive program because I want to be a better teacher. Right. But in my heart, I was like, maybe she'll tell me something I didn't know and I can get booked or so. I don't know what I was thinking. Like, obviously that's not how it works. But in my little heart, I was like, I always say I want to dance for Drake. I want to dance for Drake. But in my head, like the logical, you know, and then what I said when she got to me, I was like, oh, I want to be a better teacher. I love my students. I love pouring into my students. That excuse, right? And she was like, are you sure? And I was like, girl, what you mean, are you sure? Like, Galen Hook's telling me, am I sure? And I was like, yes. And she's like, this is kind of a serious program for you to just want to, you know, be better for other people. Maybe there's something else there. And I was like, oh my God. And that night I went home and I really thought about it. I think she gave us some homework about, you know, come up with some artists that we want to work with or something like that. And I was like, oh my God, like, wait, did she just say that's a possibility for me? And I was tripping. So, I mean, it took me, unfortunately, somebody else telling me that, yo, that could be a possibility for yourself. I mean, it did help that this was somebody that I really looked up to and who's amazing in the dance space. So that meant something to me, but it should not. And I'm telling you right now, you have to be the one to decide that shit, like anything that you want. If you want to own a dance studio, if you want to dance for Drake, if you want to dance on Broadway, if you want to be a ballerina, it's possible for you, but you need to decide that first. So what I want you to do is get out into your community and talk to people that are doing what you want to do. I bet you'll be surprised. You know, people are out there working five is an exaggeration, like 2 jobs and, you know, making it as a professional dancer. They're far from home. There's people that travel from out of the country and they're living out their dance goals and dreams. There's people that have trained for years. There's people that are living with a disability, whether, you know, if it's a learning or physical, anything. Like, people are overcoming amazing things to do what you want to do, But because you want to use the excuse, oh shit, girl, here we go. Because you want to use the excuse that, oh, I'm just little old me, then that's your excuse for not doing it. And it's not a good excuse. I'm sorry. But I'm here to take a stand for you because I know that you can do it. Yeah, so basically we only see a small portion of people's life, and I don't know, social media is really not a good example of like what the reality is. People don't share things on there like their whole life. So if you just go off of what you're seeing, that's only a small portion of what people are allowing us to see. Even myself, I've been trying to be like more transparent with my clients, because everybody thinks I'm just like positive all the time, and like, no, hell no. I have social anxiety. I am the most awkward motherfucker. I have social anxiety so bad, but because I know that that's hindering my ability to create relationships and network out in the dance world, I'm like, bitch, we got to find a way to get over it. But it's not going to get better by me not talking about it. So I like to talk about it. My mental health. I also, like I said, have a lot of mom clients, which I so admire. Everybody knows, like, oh, I want kids right now. And my mom clients are always like, oh, I can't do that. I'm a mom. And I'm like, that's a dumb excuse, girl. I got you. Like Aisha Francis, Britt Nicole, amazing dancers and amazing mothers. I love seeing Bryn post her daughter all the time, and it's the most adorable thing. And it's so admirable too, to be such a strong example of what a mom could be for like your kids. Oh, I just love that so much. So what you see is not what you get. And in order to get past this first hurdle of, I could have that for myself, like I said, I want you to get out there this week and talk to some people. Even if I'm such a fan of just DMing people and just having a conversation. People which is so weird because, like I said, I'm the most socially awkward. But I have no problem like DMing people and be like, yo, what's up? You want to collaborate on this, and this? But a whole time inside, I'm like quaking. It's the weirdest shit. Good. So hurdle number 2 that we're going to have to get over. It's going to involve last week's self-concepts. So once you decide, I can do this, like I am completely capable of this for myself, you're going to run into this, who even am I? Like, who even am I? Like, yes, the world is my oyster. That's I don't even like that phrase. The world is my oyster, but I don't even know what I want to do. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I like. Well, step 1, go back to the self-concepts from last week's episode and just dive into those a little bit so you have an idea. Okay. The next one, my clients know all about. I love this exercise. So a good place to start, unfortunately, we are not good observers of ourselves. We have either an overinflated what we are really given the world, or we have in like a diminished, like, I'm not good enough. It's not really like spot on, okay? Like a real in time what's going on with us. So what I like to tell my clients to do, and what I want to tell you to do, is go ask 3 to 5 friends. And honestly, the more people you ask, the better. You're going to ask them, hey, what are my strengths? Like, what about my dancing? What about my art? What about the way that I sing? What about the way that I model? What do you like about it? And if they're good friends, so you're going to have to tell them, like, don't just gas me up. Like, because your friends are going to immediately go, yes, bitch, you slay. Bitch, that's not a good, I need specifics. Tell them to be specific. Oh, I really like the way that you look at the camera. I really like the way that when you paint, you use a certain type of stroke and this and that. I really like when you dance, you are hard hitting, you flip your hair a certain way, you have great facials, you have whatever it is. Okay. Tell them to be specific. And my clients and yourself, watch, are always so amazed because they're like, damn, first of all, you got all that from my dancing. Like, because a lot of times we are, like I said, we're not self-aware. So we don't even know that we're doing all this to our audience and to our friends. And we are completely just mesmerizing. And it's also like just a good feeling because, I mean, not like go fish for compliments, but it makes you feel good that people are getting that from your dancing, especially if it's, I've had like some really heartwarming ones like, oh, you make your audience feel so like involved in your story. And like, that's such a beautiful, that's not something that you can teach, you know what I mean? And here's the thing. A lot of the stuff that we're just so naturally good at, it's not stuff that you can teach. It's just stuff that you're comfortable and you do it just without even trying. So I like to call these your superpowers because, like I said, they just show up for you. You don't even have to try. So you're going to crowdsource. Is that the definition of crowdsourcing? Bitch, I don't know. You're going to crowdsource, and you're going to get some really good examples. Ask a ton of people. I'll give you my examples. So when I first started dancing again, I was in the teachers that I would dance with. They would do more like rock type heels, and I love it. That was fun. But like it just didn't look good on me. I don't know what it was. I honestly, you guys know my theory about hair. Like I'm a slick bun type of girl. So if you give me a whole bunch of head whips, it just doesn't like translate the same. And so the thrashy styles that I was in, it just didn't translate. But I kept taking that class and I kept leaving and I kept feeling so like, like I'm not a good dancer. Do you know what I mean? And then I explored and tried other styles because I was like, let me just try something new. And I kept getting these comments that were like, Latte, you're so clean. And I was like, okay. They're like, you're so clean and like crisp. Like it's the ballet. It's honestly, and the flowy. It was the ballet, honestly. And I'm like, what the fuck do all these people mean? So then I started taking with instructors that were flowy and crisp and clean. Specifically, like I was like, let me go take with so-and-so. Like she kind of choreographs the way that people are saying that and bitch, I would thrive and I would take those classes and I would just naturally do my crisp, clean, kind of flowy, ballet-esque heel shit. And people would be like, damn, like that was like when I really started getting like compliments as a dancer. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. And that's me leaning into and not fighting against my cleanliness. Because there was a time when I was like, I hate that comment. Everybody always says I'm such a clean dancer and I fucking hate it. I just want to be thrashy and this and that. But bitch, that's on me. So, and that's fine. We work on that. But I don't take it personally. You know what I mean? And I lean into what I'm good at when the time calls for it. Another example is I love my girl Vulgar Babe in San Diego. She's a choreographer, dance mentor. She's amazing. And let me tell you, the first thing I think of when I think of Vulgar Babe is sex. This bitch is sexy, okay? That's her bag. And so when I get students and they are just in their sexy bag, I just love it. They're like, I'm having such a hard time, like feeling comfortable in classes. Like every class that I go to, it just feels like I'm not able to like really connect with the movement. And I'm like, you know what? You need something that aligns with your natural superpower. So then I'll send them over to P. You know what I'm saying? And then they love it. You know what I mean? Because they have found their superpower naturally, and then they're aligning with it. Yeah. It's all about just knowing your natural superpower. So don't force it. Like if you're there was a time when I was trying to be like hard hitting and I was like, we're going to work on that, but that's not my style. Do you know what I'm saying? So awesome. So we're getting into some higher level shit. So we've decided that shit is possible for us. We've also crowdsourced from friends what we're good at. Now we get to do one of my favorite parts. And this is going to go back to episode 1 where we did self exploration. So say we've already done self exploration because you should have done that last week. Stay with me. Now we get to pick what we like and we get to create our alter ego. I always call it an alter ego. This is essentially your higher self. This is your source. This is the happiest and most highest achieving version of yourself, essentially. But it takes the reason I give you an alter ego, and the reason I call it an alter ego is because it takes some of the pressure off. When you just try to look at things as a way of, I'm just going to change myself, it just creates, first of all, there's nothing you need to change about yourself. You're amazing and perfect. But it puts so much pressure on you and you're trying to change, and it just feels like such a force. Do you know what I mean? Like it feels like you're just trying to force yourself. Instead, you're going to create this alter ego that's everything that you admire in a dancer, everything that makes you happy already. So going back to that self-exploration and picking and choosing, oh, this style, oh, this type of look, oh, this type of jobs, those kind of things. And you put them in an alter ego. And it's easier to step into that alter ego. So this concept is not new, actually. A lot of like celebrities, a lot of artists use this. Who the fuck do you guys think Sasha Fierce is? Like Beyonce has an alter ego. You are not too good to make an alter ego, okay? Who do you think Roman is? Yeah, like Nicki Minaj has an alter ego, okay? Writers, when they create their aliases, it's just it's a way that you can step into your self-expression. It's a hat, if you will. And it takes the pressure off of I'm changing myself, because you don't want to change yourself. You're, like I said, amazing. So what you're going to have to do, and I'm probably going to make like a little highlight section so you guys have some homework. Damn, I just be giving people homework. I gave a client today homework and she's like, we're not even clients like this. I'm like, I'm sorry. I don't mean to give you homework, but here's your homework. What you're going to do and what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to put these digital exercises up in like my podcast highlight so you can reference them. So what you need to do is we need to start creating this alter ego. And the sauce is in the specifics. That's what I always say. I love that. You need to be so damn specific with this, okay? So I need to know what your alter ego's name is, and you know that could be last, like don't sweat it. But I need to know what their style is, like what kind of dance jobs do they do? Do they have dance jobs? Maybe they're dance studio owner. Maybe they just dance for fun. What do they wear? Do they wear Burjoos? Do they wear Air Forces? What colors, inspire them? What kind of music? What do they eat? How do they train? What's the feelings that they give people when they dance? How do they treat people? How do people remember them? You need to be so specific. And I always tell people what you put into this exercise, and a lot of the exercises that I give you is what you're going to get out of it. So if you stay very surface level, sis, you're going to get surface level results. If you want to stay right here and just, my alter ego, her name is Bubbles, and she just, dances to feel good. Okay. You can't really do anything with that. My alter ego's name is Bubbles. She is wearing leather to every single class. She dances for Benito. She trains with, you have to get so specific. And what you're going to do with this alter ego is you are going to slowly You can throw yourself in there. I'm all for the huge jumps, right? You're going to slowly start showing up as this alter ego. The way you're going to do that is maybe week 1, you come dressed as them. Maybe week 2, you try the classes that they train in. It doesn't have to be, you could just start small. Maybe week 3, you try to do some of the tricks that they do in their dancing. Maybe you could try to move like them. You start showing up. Maybe one day you just completely role play with yourself. That's kind of fun. And show up as them. I have had clients completely show up as their alter ego. I'm talking dye their hair, change their Instagram names, the whole thing. And they're like, man, people are just like, what's going on this week? You have some light or some force to you, that's so amazing. And I'm like, yeah, because you're aligning with your higher self. Like I said, you could take baby steps or you can go full force. I'm all for. But what you're going to realize is one day you're going to wake up and be like, oh shit, I'm my higher self. I'm aligned. And that's the point. You want to become aligned with your higher self. That's going to give you the least friction, the most fulfillment in your life is when you are aligned and you're not forcing anything. You're stepping into that power. Also note that you can have more than one alter ego. So I like to use myself as an example because damn, I got a lot going on, right? I have Latte, the mentor, the mentor teacher. That's very apparent. I also have Latte, the performer, which I moved to LA, last September, and I'm really trying to develop because that's a space that I want to develop for myself. And then I also have Latte, the creative, the choreographer, which is very I think she's very emo girl. I was gonna say this is I would love, maybe I'll do a whole episode on astrology and dancers. That would be so freaking interesting because I'm a Sagittarius sun, I'm a Pisces moon, and I'm a Capricorn rising. And I swear to God, my Sagittarius sun is my teacher, my mentor. I can talk all day. I am the philosopher. You guys know Sagittarius are the philosophers of the zodiac. Okay. My Capricorn rising is very much my performer, competitor. Oh my God, to a T. And then my poor Pisces moon, that's my creative side. That's in my feelings. It's my Pisces moon, y'all. So you can have more than one, but it's going to be really important to develop all of them very specifically, because if they kind of mesh a little bit or blend, it's going to be hard to separate them. And then it's going to be hard to pull them out when you need them to. Okay, period. So we have our alter ego, and now we want to figure out where we can fit them inside the community. This is kind of the next step, and you have to really have your alter ego down solid, because if you don't, you're going to want to do all kinds of things for your community. And I think that's natural because we are social people, or we want to be accepted by everybody. And so it's easy to get caught up in the community, but you need to understand that you need to develop yourself first. And that is, you can't even give to your community unless you have a solid self-concept, like we said in episode 1, So I like to go over the different aspects that creators and dancers specifically, so this is going to be for my dancers specifically, have in the different roles that we have in the community. Because I think a lot of people get stuck oh, I'm just a dancer or a teacher. Oh, I'm just a student or a teacher. That's it. And I'm like, bro, no. we have so many things that we can do inside of dance world. So I just wanted to kind of go over all the different roles that you can explore, and then I'll tell you which roles I am, but I'm pretty sure you can guess. So there's creative directors. These are like big picture people. These kind of people help bring huge ideas to life. I think that you have to be a good communicator. In my opinion, you need to be a good communicator because you're going to need a network. You're going to need to help direct. You're going to need to help guide and influence a lot of people. You're also going to have to be quick on your feet, I think, to make just a whole bunch of moving parts work. Now, a note, because like I said, I think a lot of people don't really understand that there's all these different roles. So you could be a creative director and not be the choreographer. Like, you have to understand that like the project that you're doing might be so huge, you don't even have time to choreograph. And a lot of times creative directors are not dancing in their pieces either. I'm trying to think of one. I mean, I'm sure you can do it, but it's going to make your job a lot harder because you need to worry about the big picture. Like, you need to be sitting back, telling things when to happen. You know what I mean? Like, you are behind the scenes. So people get tripped up because they want to be the creative director and the choreographer and the performer. And I mean, you probably can, but you got to think about execution too. Like, if it's, not well executed, maybe it's okay to step on or like to do one thing. Yeah. So going into choreographer, so that would be the next role is choreographer. These people are very detail oriented. They have an exact vision. They know how it looks on bodies and different bodies or a specific type of body. And they are in tune with their inspirations. You can get hired as a choreographer and not dance in the piece. You can get hired as a choreographer and have nothing to do with the vision or the creative directing. Like, this is a very specific role as well. Although you can do a mesh of all of them. The other roles that there are is a company director or professional team director. So this is going to be another person that knows how to make a team work or a company work and run, making sure everybody looks uniform. Usually everybody, like, you're in charge of everybody. You're what is it? Mama hen. So you're making sure everybody has what they need to succeed. Good motivators, good type of leaders. Like, those are the only type of company directors that I've seen are really good guiding their army. Do you know what I mean? Like, their group of people and making sure everybody has what they need to succeed. Then we've got like a company dancer, a team dancer, and performers. So I think this is what people usually think of when they think of a dancer. Like, this is the dancer. Do you know what I'm talking about? So they're putting the goal of the team before their own. Like, it's a job. They're also able to look uniform or do what they need to do on cue. They're able to execute, be clean, and they follow direction. And yeah, I'll come back to my point about that. So you need to do what, like, in this role, if the choreographer is like, hey, do XYZ, you got to do XYZ. Like, got to listen to the company director, the professional team directors. Next, we have entertainers. So this type of like dancer is committed to the audience experience. So I don't want to say like individualized because there's definitely like groups of entertainers, but I feel like there's a little bit more wiggle room because they're very much committed to what the audience is experiencing at that time. They're charismatic. They're able to be interactive. They can put on a show. Like, people that are entertainers, and then people that are like very much like, follow direction. And they can exist both. I know people are like, you can do both. I know you can do both. I'm just trying to separate them for the example. Then there's also freelancers. So freelancers are like free as a bird. They don't care what their dancing or their performing does for you. They care how it makes them feel. They chase happiness. They chase joy. Doesn't matter what it looks like. They enjoy the journey. Freelancer, like I love freelancers. And then there's teachers and coaches and mentors. These type of people are very much committed to their students and their mentees' overall long-term goals and their growth. It should be a very selfless role, to be in, because you got to be committed to your babies. And lastly, definitely not least, entrepreneurs. I think it's getting more popular that there's dance entrepreneurs, but these are the people creating jobs. We need dance entrepreneurs. Honestly, a few of my clients have been fallen into this role, and I find it so freaking necessary, because who's going to employ all these dancers? Where are all these dancers dancing? You know what I mean? Like, we need to create the jobs too. So these people they know the roles they know each individual role and how to utilize them for their big picture. And they're good communicators, and they're organized, and they know how to delegate, So I'll just recap those real quick. We got creative directors. We've got choreographers. We've got company directors, professional team directors. We've got company members, team dancers, and performers. We've got entertainers. We've got freelancers. We've got teachers, coaches, or mentors. And we've got entrepreneurs. Okay. So like, those are the different roles as a dancer. You can kind of find where you fit in. Now, some things, with all this being said, I think it is important to know where you want to fit in, because it'll cause a lot of internal conflicts, I think, when you're in a role that doesn't resonate with you or resonate with you at the time. I will give you an example. So, when I first got back into, when I was teaching hardcore in my teaching bag, still am, but 2019, right, committed to being a teacher. COVID happened, came back, 2021, all of 2021, I was teaching, and I was like, I think I mentioned this in episode 1. I'm just like, man, I'm just not getting the feeling that I want to get, like that would fuel me every single time that it did in the beginning. You know what I mean? And I was like, everybody films class now. And I was really focused on, my videos, and you know what I'm talking about. And I kind of started realizing, like, I think I'm not being like nurtured as a performer. Like, I know I'm a great teacher, but I think I'm not getting the nourishment that I need as a performer. And so that's when I was like, I think I'm going to explore that more. And I'm not made a switch, but made the change to reduce my teaching schedule so then I can nourish myself as a performer. And I swear to God, I've never felt more aligned with the way that my schedule is right now. And it's sad, but I think that there's like some teachers that might feel that way too. We get so stuck in our students' growth and our students' success, and we see them grow every month, and we want that, we want that for ourselves too. It's a normal thing. And I always say, like, when I'm an old 99-year-old lady, like, that's when I want to be I want to teach at a university. I want to teach ballet at a university. That's my like overall, that's my like 99-year-old lady goal. I want to be one of those like old ladies with a cane, with a ballet cane, yelling at everybody. But not now. Do you know what I'm saying? If I did that now, I would be not depressed, but I definitely wouldn't get the same feeling. Do you know what I mean? Also, I've had clients that they're like, "Oh, I'm going to be a, NFL cheerleader or whatever because I did, competition growing up, and that's what all my competition studio friends did. So I'm just going to do it, and they're going for it, and they get to auditions, and they're making it, and they're like, "Ugh, I hate it. Like I literally hate it." And I'm like, "Well, maybe you're more of an entertainer." We explore that. And then they come to realize, damn, I am an entertainer. Like I'm not a team member, and that's okay. Like you find what works for you. It's not that you like don't like these type of people. It's just that it doesn't resonate with you. And I think that's really important to understand. It's also important to understand that the role that you play in your community today could be very different than the role that you have tomorrow as a dancer. Like I said, tomorrow I'm dancing for Drake, but when I'm 99 years old, I got a cane and I'm screaming at you ballet terms. Like that's the different roles that I'm going to have as a dancer. I'm going to dance for Drake. I don't know. Damn. So we went over a lot, but I think it all builds on itself, honestly. If you've got your self concepts down, that's going to be the first and foremost building block. So work on those. And then I want you to, your homework, I want you to create this alter ego and keep creating this alter ego. It's going to be ever changing, ever growing. And you need to understand that it's okay. Don't get committed to one version of yourself. You're an artist. You are inspired by different things on the daily. And you should let yourself be free to explore these different sides of you. I think that about covers it. Nice. So make sure that you leave me a comment. I want to hear all about your alter ego. I'm curious. Also subscribe so you're not missing out on any episodes, and send this to a dancer so they can get the fuck out of their head and get the fuck onto the dance floor. Till next time, guys, I will talk to you later. Bye.